What we're going to be talking about today is cultivating purpose and what is your life work. And what I want to do first, because I forgot to do it last time, let's open with a little prayer. Okay? Heavenly Father, we come before you today with open hearts and minds, seeking to understand the purpose you have woven into our lives. You have created each of us with unique gifts, passions, and calling. And we ask for your wisdom as we explore how our work, whether paid or unpaid, can glorify you and serve others. Lord, guide our thoughts and discussions. Help us to recognize the value in what we do, and not just in grand achievements, but in simple daily ways that we contribute to the world around us. Remind us that purpose is not about status or success, but about living in alignment with your will and bringing light, love, and service to those we encounter. May this time together be one of reflection, inspiration, and renewed clarity. And may we leave today with a deeper understanding of how our life work fits into your greater plan. We dedicate this session to you, trusting that you will lead us to discover and embrace the work that you have placed in our hands. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. All right. So, crafting our purpose, but guess what? Let's do a little bit of review. So, I just want to kind of reiterate our purpose here through this series, through the whole year, right? And so what we're doing at this point is we're building strong roots, right? And so strong roots create a stable life when we nurture our financial health. That's what we did last month. Our passion, what we want to do with our lives, right? Relationships and our home. And so as we build a foundation that allows us to grow and flourish, our roots will help us withstand the storms of life, right? And so let's just look at the progress that we've made so far. Our first session, we spent a little bit of time exploring goals and how to simplify our goals and that kind of thing. So today we're going to look at our life work. The other two pieces of our roots of our tree of life are going to be circles, and we're going to study relationships and the importance of those in our lives, and our habitat, where we spend our time. Is that home? Is that work? Is that a volunteer situation? Is that, do you create a habitat in nature as well? Okay, so those are the things that we're looking forward to. And so let's just do a little review of mastering our financial health. And here are the things that we learned. We learned how to mine our spending habits to find money. And then we learned how to find that money to think about ideas on how to save, maybe for a special project. We learned about using the snowball method to reduce debt, and we learned practices that can actually just upfront save money. So how did y'all do? Okay, so I see some positive head shakes. Did you put anything into practice? Oh, okay. So we passed out a journal last month, and so we invited people to keep track of their spending so that they can pay attention to how they're spending. Great. Any questions, any problems that arose? All right. Huh?
I was just going to share that we went to see our financial advisor just to see where we're at and project he's able to put in this computer thing that projects how we're going to.
So did you have that already scheduled, or did you feel encouraged to schedule that after we?
Encouraged.
Okay. So see, you read my disclaimer and you did exactly what I told you to. But yeah, that's great. I'm glad that I was able to encourage you to go see your financial planner. So the first session, we went over what I call the rings of resilience, and I had you rate yourself on every area. And so now we've done the financial part, or money. Do you now feel like you're in a better place with that, or about the same as when we started? About the same? Making progress. Okay. A work in progress. Absolutely. We all are, aren't we? So today we're going to talk about life work. So why do you think people struggle with finding their purpose? Well, here's a few ideas. Fear of failure or judgment. Do you not start stuff because you're afraid you won't get it done, or maybe overwhelmed by societal expectations? Do you do a lot of, I should do this, even though you hate it and you don't know why you're doing it, but you feel like the proverbial they say I should do this, right? Or do you have a lack of self-awareness or clarity? Like sometimes it's like, I know I need to do better, I just don't know where to start, or all of that, right? The thing about finding our purpose is it's a journey, not a one-time event, okay? And so kind of what I want to do at this point, because I was really thinking about this, and I've done some of the exercises that we've done so far, and just share a little bit about what my professional journey has been leading to my job here at Church of the Palms, because this is my passion, okay? And so I always knew that I wanted some type of a career in healthcare. And there were I remember 9th grade biology, of all things, right? And we had, lab tables that we sat at. So there was 4 people to a table. And in my group of 4, all of us wanted a career in healthcare. And what I know now is we all did have careers in healthcare. Two of the guys became doctors. I forget what the 3rd fella did, and then I became an occupational therapist. So this has been something, I was in the nerdy group of kids, in elementary school. When we got to go to the library, I'd always pick, Florence Nightingale biographies, those kind of things, right? So I always knew I wanted a career in healthcare. And so fast forward a little bit, I was ready to go to college. And what I saw my parents do, what I saw my mother do, was get her MRS degree, right? She went to college, but she got married the day after she graduated from college, and worked maybe a year and a half, and then started having kids. And she was fortunate enough that they were able to have her as a stay-at-home mom. And then she did go back to work after we were all kind of grown and just about gone. And, it was really a struggle for her because she hadn't really kept up with her profession. And then when she looked at it, my first job, I was actually making a lot more money than she was. And she's like, but I've got all these years. I'm like, But so when I went to college, I thought social expectations, right? I came from the South Carolina. And I was very fortunate to have a daddy that had prepared to send us all to college, at least for an undergrad degree. And but I sort of thought I was just getting that MRS degree, right? Being a wife and a mom. So I didn't want to stay home and work at, Kmart, or Walmart wasn't even in my town at that point. But you know what I'm saying? So I'm like, well, okay, if daddy's going to pay for it, I'll go. I needed to pick a state school, and so I picked the school that was most likely to have a winning football team. And you'll see a pattern here, because I tend to get myself into really important places for really shallow reasons. And so, my first semester in college, the 2 important things I learned almost the first week. One is I was living in the dorm with all the other girls, and there were a couple of senior girls that were crying their eyes out. It was a major upheaval, because they had not had good academic faculty advisors. And they found out that they thought they were going to graduate in May, and they still had 1 stupid PE credit or something, and they wouldn't be allowed to take it yet because they already had too heavy of a load. All the drama that goes with that. So I learned not to fully trust my faculty advisor. And my faculty advisor insisted that I pick a major first thing out of the box. I'm like, I'm only 18. I don't know what I want to be when I grow up, right? And so I basically told him what I already knew about myself. And I said, so I want something in healthcare. I do not want to be a doctor. I do not want to be a nurse. What else do you have? And he suggested either occupational therapy or physical therapy. And so I chose pre-physical therapy because the name made more sense to me, but I didn't really know what I was getting myself into. And so at some point in that semester, when I had a semester break, I contacted faculty at the Medical College of Georgia. It was about 20 miles from my parents' home. And I didn't know if I would go there or not, but it was an opportunity to talk to somebody that understood those professions a little bit more. And so I had a meeting with the physical therapy staff, right? Well, it was the director of the PT program who had quite a reputation countrywide of being very by the book, and several faculty members to see what that interview would sound like because they'd never done that before. And I'm like, okay, so you're a physical therapist at the level that you're teaching, and nobody's ever asked you what it was like to be a physical therapist? Really? So I go to the meeting, and it was like being in the Grand Inquisition. And she asked me a few questions that now I know I should have been really offended by, but I didn't know any better at the time. And so at the end of all of this, she goes, you're probably better suited to be an OT than a PT. I'm like, I don't know anything about that. I said, can you make a call for me and see if somebody's on campus today? I don't have an appointment with them. And so she did, and I went over to the OT department, and there were just a couple of random faculty that were there, I don't know, getting prepared for the next week or I don't know what. So I went from the Grand Inquisition to feet up, first name basis, cup of coffee, talking about life. And what I realized was these faculty were pulling my life stories out of me that demonstrated I kind of already was an OT. I just needed to get the formal training so I could get the license and really do it. And it was just amazing to me because I really hadn't connected those dots before. So I had to petition my daddy for, sort of some college changes because I was at a state school. I really liked this school. I actually got it accepted to the Medical College of Georgia. I was advised to apply to several schools because you won't get into all of them. Okay. No, I didn't do that. My heart told me that's where I needed to be, and I followed it, and I got accepted. And, I was going through, you had to interview with two faculty, and one of the faculty said, so what are you going to do with yourself if you don't get in? I'm like, not to sound cocky, but I really never considered that an option. She goes, okay, what would you do? And I said, I'd probably learn how to drive an 18-wheeler and do that for a year and come back. And she's like, really? I'm like, life experience. She goes, okay. So I got into school and really never looked back. And I've had over 40 years now as an occupational therapist. And one of the things I love about that is that so many professions all wrapped up into one. I served my professional associations at the state and national level. So that gave me some leadership experience. I started public speaking, delivering content to my colleagues because I went to a conference and they were talking about a particular topic, and whoever was talking really didn't even, it was just awful. I'm like, okay, I can do better. And so it was a matter of being passionate about making sure that people understood the content in the best way possible, right? And so I've done online teaching and conference teaching, and I've done my own CE business for a little while. And so when I came for my interview here, they're like looking at my resume and going, wow. It's like, you're kind of overqualified. I'm like, no, I'm kind of perfectly qualified. And I was, it's like this is the best job I've ever had in my whole life. And so I'm just so glad to be here. And so what we're going to do is we're going to walk you through some of the phases of how you find that clarity for yourselves, because how many in here are retired? Okay, so pretty much all of us, right? But you don't stop doing just because you're retired. Like how many quit work and went home and sat in a rocking chair all day? That's kind of like what they used to tell us retirement was about, right? Not so much anymore. So it's important, I think, to look at yourself, reflect on your life, and decide what pieces do you want to bring forward, and really, what did you miss out on doing maybe while you were working because you just didn't have time to do it all that you'd like to explore now, that kind of thing. So we're going to take a look at those kind of things as we move forward. So part of what we're going to do today is we're going to do a process that it's a Japanese process called, who can say that? Like I had to Google it and like get a verbal to hear it to understand how to say it. It's Ikigai. Ikigai. And so I'm going to walk you through that process. But I want us to take a step back for a moment. Remember the first day that we were together and we did the be, do, have activity, right? Okay. So what I want to do is I want to take a few minutes. I want you to pull out your be, do, have. So you've got your colorful pens. I've got some highlighters if anybody would prefer a highlighter. Yep. Anybody else want a highlighter? They're all different colors, so one for you and one for you. Who else? What color do you want? Anybody else? All right. If y'all can't tell, part of why I like to teach is because I love the office supplies that come with that. So what I want you to do, the first step is to go through your be, do, have and highlight the things that really jump out to you. Because sometimes when we do those activities, if you do it right, you just do a brain dump and you put everything you can think of on there. So highlight a few things there. And then once you're completed with that, we're going to have you, oh, I don't have that page. You've also, in your handout packet for today, you've got a values list. And so what you want to do is once you look at your be, do, have, be reconnected with that, then we're going to go to the values list. And I want you to go through that list and highlight the things that really jump out for you. So we'll just take a few minutes to do that. As you read it, some things are going to be meh, some things are going to be, I like that. No, in your be, do, have, or on the values list. It's okay, so we're going to step away from should be doing. The question was, are we picking out the things I should be doing? No. What I want you to pick out are any words that kind of excite you or make your heart sing, separate from what I should do. We all know that we want to be kind and gentle and empathetic, and what are the things that really make your heart sing? And if none of them do, that's okay too. Did you look at the values list? Did you look at the values list for today? It's in your handout. Should be.
Page before. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. On the wrong page.
Well, both of them. Yeah, that one. Take your highlighter and highlight any words that make you happy.
I don't think I have a highlighter.
Here you go. You do now.
Underline the words what?
Any of the words that make you happy or make you feel joy.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Spelling exercise.
Huh?
List the one, underline the ones that make you happy on here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
I'm struggling with definition of purpose.
Okay.
I know some things that I like to do that I want to do more of,
Right.
but I don't necessarily consider them my purpose.
Okay. So when we get to the ikigai exercise, that will start to bubble up for you. Okay. There's a lot of words there, aren't there? How are we doing out there? I see someone making up her own words. That's great. I love it. It's okay. Remember, this is not about should. It's about what makes your heart sing. So if you want to make up your own words, that's good too. How are we doing? I still see a few people deep, deep in thought. Okay, my next slide is just about the values exercise, which we already are doing. So, how's everybody doing? Are we ready? Okay. So, your ikigai is going to come from the intersection of what you love, what you're good at, what the world needs, and what can you get paid or valued for? So a lot of us, most of us in the room are retired. Not me, but most of us are retired. So you may not be looking for a purpose where you get paid, but what can you do or what do you already do that you're valued for? Because that's actually, it's an emotional payment, it's an energetic payment, but you're getting something out of it is the whole point of that. So ikigai is the intersection of what you love to do, what you're good at, because sometimes we love to do things. I love to sing, I'm not good at it. I'm a rock star in the car with the windows rolled up and the radio cranked. Do not want to hear that though, right? What does the world need? We don't need another bad singer, do we? And what can you get paid for or be valued for? So our next step is we're going to find our ikigai. So kind of what I want you to do is look back at your be, do, have, look back at your values list and answer some of these questions. And so where we start is what you love. So the way that your worksheet is set up is you've got this Venn diagram in the center and it kind of angles off. And so at the top, write down some of the things that you love. So I wrote down some of mine just to give you some ideas. I love helping. I love teaching. I love problem solving. I actually love to do crafts, crafty things, and not just one thing, but all sorts of things. I like finding, besides problem solving, I like finding unique solutions to things. And I like learning new things. So what do you love? And you can use your be, do, have, and you can use your values list as a springboard for some of that. Okay. Y'all can continue to work on that. I'm going to start talking a little bit about what you're good at. So what you're good at is on the, I guess, left side of your paper. What you're good at. So some examples of what you might be good at. Like I said, I love to sing. I'm not good at it. What am I good at? Using items differently than their intended use. Now, I actually got to see somebody else's solution, but I thought it was wonderful. She's got it's one of our new office staff, and she needed her monitor for her computer up a little bit higher so she wasn't looking down at the computer all day because her neck was getting sore. But her monitor it's like a tripod, so it's got 3 feet, and she was trying to figure out how to make that happen. What she ended up doing was, have you seen the blocks that you can get that can lift your furniture up to make it higher? And so she ended up using 3 of those. They're black, so it blends right in with the top of the desk and the monitor, so you don't really notice it, but it was the perfect solution because other things that are made for that are super expensive, oftentimes too big for your desk, and they don't put things where you want them anyway, right? So this is a great solution. So these are chair risers that she's using to raise up her monitor. So that's the kind of thing I'm talking about by using things differently than their intended use to solve a problem. I like to organize events, which is a good thing because I do that all the time here, right? I like simplifying processes and systems.
You like what?
Simplifying processes and systems. Okay? One of the simple things that I do is I created a Google form to track some things in my life. I put it on my Google Calendar as an all-day event, so it's just a little skinny thing right at the top. And then I can click on the event, click on the form, fill out the form, and then I've got data to understand trends that might be happening across the things that I am tracking, for an example. So that's a simple way to keep up with what's going on, right? I said before I like to do crafts of all sorts, which has served me in all kinds of crazy ways. By being crafty, it helped me make some tabs for a notebook that I needed. Like I needed a sleeve as well as a tab, and I needed it now. I didn't need to go to, Office Max, and I didn't have time for all that. So I just took sheet protectors that we had in abundance around here, and a couple of file folders that had the built-in tabs, and I slit the side for the tab to come out, and voila, I've got my pocketed file tabs. So, but I like to knit, I like to crochet, I like to latch hook, I like to do diamond painting. So it's fun. That's fun for me. I like being flexible so that when something goes wrong, it's a pivot instead of the end of the world. Okay? I came in today and we didn't have the reception desk set up. So guess what? I pivoted, grabbed a table, put it up, instead of getting all wound up about it. So think about what you're good at. What are you actually good at? I'll give you a couple minutes. Okay, and then over here on the right side, how are we doing? We doing good? Ready for the next piece? Okay, so what does the world need? Doesn't even have to be related to the other stuff. What does the world need? Kindness, compassion. My three that I put, the world needs help of all kinds, right? Simple solutions. And planning. You know, sometimes it's just a matter of making a plan or teaching people how to have a plan. Those are my three. It doesn't have to be your three. What does the world need? Maybe something that you could provide. What doesn't the world need right now, right? Okay, and then the bottom section is what can you be paid for? And if you're not really seeking employment or employed, what are you valued for? You know, are you valued in your relationships? Are you valued as a volunteer? Are you valued for being creative? And I would suggest that creative doesn't mean being crafty. Creative can be all sorts of things. You can be someone that creates important programs for your church or your, community, your where you live or those kind of things. And so then if you go into the inner circles, as you're finishing up that, kind of take it to the next level. What do you love? That's your passion. What are you good at? That could be your passion. What is your mission? What do you want to do with all of that? What is your profession or vocation? If we're retired, how do you use your professional skills in an avocational way? If we're not worried about a job, how do we use those skills differently? It's like my current job here with the church. It's not an occupational therapy job, but I'm going to tell you, I use those skills every single day. I use my therapy skills. I use my leadership skills every single day. So what can you take from your professional life? And what if you were someone that was a domestic engineer? You worked at home instead of away from home, right? Because that's work too. If anybody is good at that, call me because my house needs help. No. All right. So look at all of that and see if you can come up with your word. What is your thing? Right? And that's the center, that's your ikigai. And here's the thing is this can change over time. It doesn't have to be this forever. Right? And so I have another, well, just sit and think for a minute, but I have another little activity that might be fun. Let's see. I'm going to have to minimize that and go to, I don't want to see that either. Oh, that's not it. Ah, here we go. That's what I was looking for. No, it's not. Oh, there it is. No, it's not. Ugh. I was going to pull up this, maybe. Nope. Let's see. Oh, I know what I can do. Word of the year generator. I don't care. Let me see it anyway. Okay, there we go. So as we're looking at our words, what we're good at, what we love, all of those things, we want to kind of hone that down into one word. So there's another worksheet following your Venn diagram that you can like go through and pick out like the top 3 in each thing, if that helps you winnow it down a little bit. But what I thought I'd do is we would play a little bit. This is, so I've given you a resource list, and so this link is in the resource list. And the reason it's perfectly safe, but we've got pretty rigorous security things going on these days. Internal, to keep us from playing on the internet. And so get an inspirational word, and I'll show you how I've used this in my life in a minute. But so we'll just hit show me my word. Does that resonate with anybody? Awake. Okay. What I did when I did this one time was I just did all of these exercises, and then perspective, that's a good one. So you just go through for about, however many you want. Pass. Do I really have to do this? No, I pass. Right? What's another word? Conscious. That could be a good word to lead you through wherever you're going. What's another? Win. Oh, win is a good one. Right? Huh?
We're not finding what you're talking about. You don't get a page like that.
You didn't get a resource page?
No, I didn't. I got a resource.
It should be like the last page of your handout for today.
Yeah, but where are you pulling these words? What are you doing?
I'm doing, look up here. I'm getting an inspiration. Oh, it's not showing, is it?
Okay.
That's what's going on. It's not showing. So when you click on show me my word, so if you go online at home, it'll show you your word. And it hasn't, I don't know how to make it show. So there's a web address on your resource page, and you go to this website. Yeah. It's the Word of the Year website. So you go to the website, and then you can just start looking for your word. So if you find it today, that's great. If you don't, because sometimes you need to sit with this information before you really know what your word is, right? So let me get back to this. Okay, so if I go to my next slide, this is an example. So the last time that I really did this in earnest, I came up with the word bloom. And so then I created that into an acronym. And at the time, this is exactly what I needed to be doing, and I've kind of lived into that. So I used the word finder, and I just kept hitting it. So I did the be, do, have. I looked at the values list. So I had some clarity around what I really needed to be focusing on for myself, right? And so I hit on, I don't know, bloom, just like, I don't know why I liked it, but my body said, yes, that's it, right? And so what I did was then I went to ChatGPT. So you just go to chatgpt.ai. And it's free to use. And so you put, my word of the year is bloom. Can you make me an acronym for it? Or make me 3 acronyms. And so I ended up going through about 5 different ones and picking what I really liked, that really spoke to me. So for me, bloom means balance life's obligations and optimize for meaningful potential.
That was your word, bloom?
My word was bloom. And so I created it into an acronym. Balance life's obligations and optimize for meaningful potential. Thank you, ChatGPT. But it really, that's what spoke to me, and it guided me. It's time for me to actually sit down and find a new word and all of that. So what I have next for you is, and you may want to get up, I can roll this down the aisle. What I have for you are these little inspirational stones. And the story behind this is really heartwarming for me because I'm always looking for ways to collaborate with other ministries on campus. And I was spending some time with a young woman that was the youth coordinator, like an assistant. And so she was doing a lot of interesting things with the kids, and we were talking about ways that we could interact. And so I had thought of this. I wasn't actually completely sure when I started the process how I would use them. But I just had this young woman create, sit with the students and create these stones. And so what she told me was that it was an amazing process for them because while the girls, so it was a group of girls, and they were just sitting around a table painting these rocks. We got, we had some paints, we had some paint pens, so it was easy to write and that kind of thing. And so she said, so they did it over the course of a couple of sessions. And she said it was really amazing how they were excited to do something for another group. They were excited that their things would be appreciated. And the conversation that just organically grew while they were creating these joyful stones, right? Who
were those girls?
They're youth in the youth group from the church. And they were able to just organically have conversation that took them to a deeper level in their own spiritual journey. They were able to ask questions, and because the focus was on this and not on the conversation happened really organically. And so I have these rocks to share with you. Now, some of them have like black on the back, and that's supposed to be like blackboard paint, and it's supposed to be able to write on, wipe off, but I think they sealed them. Because when I tried it on mine, I couldn't wipe it off. But that's okay. Maybe you want your purpose to be pretty set in stone. So what I have for you are a couple of things. I have the stones, and so you're welcome to come up and pick a stone, or I can bring the stones to you. Pick one that has meaning for you. And then I do have, these are supposed to be write-on, wipe-off pens. But like I said, I think they sealed them so they don't really wipe off like they're supposed to. So if you want to put your word, or if you want to put a goal or something on the back of your rock, and then put this on your desk or put it on your counter in your kitchen, wherever you're going to see it every day, to remind you of what you're up to, okay? And if you don't know your word yet, feel free to take a pen home with you.
I don't know my word.
Well, that's okay. Take a pen with you. It's okay. But what I want to invite everyone to do now is to pick a stone.
Okay. Did you pick your stone and put bloom on it?
I did. I did. Get one out. Okay. So we all have rocks that are not in our heads. And some of us have found our word. Anybody want to share their word? Release. I like that. Joe.
Love. And it was on my rock.
Oh, well, there you go. Love.
What about you?
Peace, right? Yeah, because you were telling me that you would, you just didn't want to write a word on the back because peace was your word, and you want to think about how you can be peaceful each and every day. I love that. Anybody else? You had a good one. Kathy.
Faith.
Faith. Great.
So mine I did in that little word of the day, or word of the year thing that she did there, and then I did the acronym. And my word was very fitting for me. It was expand.
I think
And it is empower, explore, pursue, achieve, nurture, and develop.
Right. So for the benefit, we're recording this, and so your word is expand. And so what is E? I'm going to say it for the empower, explore, pursue, achieve, nurture, and develop. That's really, yeah, that's good. Anybody else? Who else has a word they want to share? Bonnie. Shine. I love that because you do. You do. You're right. So, what I want to do now is I want to turn this into, you remember we have talked about each time that we're going to do an activity snack, right? So we've been doing activities really ever since we walked in the door. So I want to kind of just take a few minutes to have some sort of a little bit of a quiet meditative time to think about our rocks and what we've chosen as our word, or what we might choose as our word, or give ourselves permission to feel okay if we haven't chosen a word, right? And so hold on to your rock. One hand, both hands, but put your rock in your hand, right? Okay? And I'm just going to walk you through this. So let's take a moment to pause and center ourselves. So breathe in and breathe out. And one more time, breathe in and breathe out. So go ahead and hold your inspirational rock in your hand. Feel its texture. Think about its weight. Think about its presence. What does that word mean to you in your life? Close your eyes, and if you're comfortable, take another slow, deep breath in and a deep breath out. And as you breathe, imagine this rock as a symbol of your journey, your search for purpose, meaning, and joy. With each breath, let yourself settle into a place of calm reflection. Now think about the word that you chose, or the word that you're still discovering. Think about maybe your word might be trying to find you. Picture that word resting on the rock, steady and strong. What feelings arise when you think of this word? What hopes or dreams are connected to it? And breathe in and breathe out. And let the rock become a touchstone, grounding you in your values and guiding you towards your life work. As you hold it, imagine it filling with warmth and light. The light of your passion, your purpose, and the difference that you're here to make. Now take one more deep breath in and out. And when you're ready, gently open your eyes and know that this rock now carries your intention, a quiet reminder of the path that you're creating. Okay? How you doing? All right. Oops, wrong way. Here's our activity snack. So actually, we're going to get done a little early, but I'm sure nobody's going to be mad about that. So our first bit of homework is going to be saying thank you. And so in your handout packet, you should have a sheet that just says simply thank you. So today, or as you're going through your week or the month until we're ready for another session, think about some of the things that you're really, really thankful for. Or write a thank you letter to yourself, to your spouse, to a friend, to somebody that did something nice for you. Maybe even actually put it in the mail and send it snail mail. Because I'm going to tell you something. One place that I worked a long time ago, I had a supervisor who I didn't even know that she was paying attention to how I was doing my job, frankly. All of a sudden, at my house, I got a paper card that said, thank you. That thing that you helped that patient with was hard, and I know that, and you did such a nice job. You know, who in your life has done something nice for you? And can you say thank you? Like, as I'm saying this, I really need to say thank you to my mailman, because Milton blew my mailbox off the post. And I got a new mailbox, but I haven't gotten around to getting it reinstalled on the post. And my mailman is so kind and nice that he's like, no problem, I'll bring it to the door. Maybe I need to make that a thank you. I think I do, right? Maybe you might want to, if you want to use your paper or another way, write a thank you note that I can pass on to the girls that created these rocks for us. That would be lovely too. Okay, so think about what you're thankful for and actually take an action and put it in writing. Send it to somebody that really deserves it. Okay. So as we're doing our homework, we're going to continue to work on our goals, and I've got a few extra of the tree that is a tracking for your goals. So if you need any more of those are available. Are you adding any goals? Or are you deleting goals? Because you remember when we were talking about it, you could do a trial goal and go, yeah, no, I don't like this one so much. It's okay to go, sorry, done, wipe it off, start with something fresh. So, I want you to keep working on finding your word. If you didn't find your word today, work on finding it or allowing it, being open for it to come to you. Because that can happen too. And so just some things that are coming up. We do a self-care 101. So part of the ministry that I get to shepherd, I like that word. I came up with that yesterday. I kind of like that. One of my ministries is the caregivers group, but really anybody could be welcome to this self-care group, because what are we doing here but self-care, right? And so Self-Care 101 is going to be next Thursday at 2 to 3:30. It's a casual, let's just get together, talk about what you got out of this session, take a deeper dive into that. We have Eco Nidra coming up. Eco Nidra is a lovely relaxation session. Now, it is part of the Palm Center, so the Eco Nidra is going to be $5, for the session. We've got a special instructor that comes in for that. That is held in our Caregiver Pathway Resource Center, which is in the Education Building, room 202. And there is an elevator in that building, and so if you need an elevator, reach out and let us know so that we can make sure that you can get into the elevator, because the bottom floor of that building is the preschool. And so we can't just let people come into the preschool. We got to know that you're there. You know what I'm saying? It's just protection for the kids. And I know probably nobody here is interested in taking an extra kid home with them on the way out. But, we've got to kind of take care of our little ones. There's always activities going on down at the Palm Center. If you really, part of your goals is to increase your activity level. There's lots of stuff you can do down there. And then next month, our Deeply Rooted in Well-Being is going to be April 9th from 3:30 to 5. And we're going to talk about strengthening your circles, building supportive connections. And I've got a guest speaker for that, and she actually is with us today, Tammy Barnett. And she does a wonderful presentation. What we're going to be looking at is our relationships, because those are really important to making sure that we're well-grounded, right?
Is the self-care in here?
No, it's in the, yeah, they're both upstairs in room 202.
But in here, we're gonna have.
Next month we'll be in here. Okay. Questions? Mary?
As is always the case, my mind rushes ahead, and when I asked the question, you said you'd get to it, and you did. I was able to get a rock that said breathe breath, and it is perfect, because I was able to come up with the thought that I am here to help others breathe easier on their journey.
I love that.
And, you know, I was kind of trying to figure out how I'm going to get from A to B.
Right.
But I got there.
Okay, good. Anybody else?
I was gonna share this with you later. I think I have a defect in my character.
Oh, no, probably not.
So I have to be busy all the time,
Mhm.
planning and doing and
Mhm.
schedule.
Mm-hmm.
My only child died 10 years ago, and I don't have a spouse at this time, and it's like I have loads of friends. I live in Michigan, I'm a snowbird.
Okay.
But even down here, I live at the RV resort,
Mhm.
Fruitville on 75. I have to be, well, they have a zillion things to do. Like I play
Right.
Mahjong and I play, Pinochle and euchre
Right.
and stuff. But I have to constantly be seeking new activities.
Okay.
Like, for instance, tonight after dinner, I'm not Jewish. My former husband's were and my son, but I go to the Chabad house and study with the Orthodox rabbi.
Okay.
And it's a 6 weeks class, and then there's a break, and then there's another 6 weeks. And he had a class on nurturing your relationships.
Oh, okay.
At your job, your family, your friends and all that. But I've asked people, like my cousins and my brother, do you ever get bored? And they say, no, we never get bored. And it's like, I don't handle boredom well. So I have to.
So
But
I
was
would.
always like that, even as a kid. I never stopped. I was always like this. But I don't think it's normal.
I don't think it's a character flaw, but sometimes I think we run away from ourselves.
I know myself pretty well.
And I would challenge you, like I know you know yourself better than I know you.
Well, but I think
I would challenge you to put on your calendar that one of the things you do is sit and do nothing for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Not a long time, just sit and be and see what comes up for you.
Whatever you do next.
Or take like a walk on the beach for 15 minutes or walk around.
Right. Right, that's a great suggestion as well. Okay.
I don't know if anybody else gets bored. Like they have to constantly be doing, reading, whatever.
I look forward to getting bored sometimes. Sometimes I'll have a day where I don't feel like doing anything and I choose to not do anything. And it's glorious. But I know what you mean. I can feel guilty for not doing too. Oh, that's a good point. Judy was saying Jesus tells us to spend time with ourselves. Right. Okay. Anybody else? All right, you can go home early.